I think it was Socrates who said, an unexamined life is not worth living. Now, I don't know about you, but this is kind of where I was when I was a drinker, right? I was living my life without really reflecting on anything, on what I was doing and what I was thinking, without any serious introspection. Looking back on all those years now, they were just years that were essentially wasted. I used to joke about this. It was a running joke for me over and over again, to be fair. I'd be going through a bad hangover and I'd say something along the lines like, Jesus, I was so wasted last night. Not realizing how much truth there was in that statement, or how many times it was actually happening to me. It wasn't just last night, it wasn't just that morning after or that afternoon. It was my whole life in general that was being wasted. And I know, looking back, hindsight is 20/20, but I can see how much of my life I spent being wasted, and how much of my life, in terms of especially time and energy, that I actually wasted, right? How you live your life is going to depend on how you prioritize. What you prioritize depends on what you value. You're going to spend more time and energy on the things that you value, and it makes perfect sense, right? So life is about the choices that you make, which inevitably are based on the things that you value. So whenever you make a decision, you choose to do one thing, and at the same time you decide not to do all of the other things that you were thinking about doing. This is what we call trade-offs. From this perspective, life becomes about choices, right? You're making the trade-offs that are the inevitable loss associated with the choices that you make. This party thinking or this drinking thinking is not going to affect you too much when you're in your 20s, right? We all know that. Everything is still ahead of you. You will start to think about it when you get into your 30s. There's a possibility of that anyway, especially if you've got kids. But maybe you won't think too deeply into it, because by all accounts, you still have more time in front of you, more time to do things than you have behind you. Now things start to look different. Things start to get a bit more serious when you get into your 40s and your 50s. Now this is where you start to feel the aches and pains. The birthdays are coming a bit quicker and quicker, and you're thinking, I don't want to think about that anymore. Your body is getting a lot more sensitive, and it's not letting you really get away with treating it like a garbage dump anymore, right? So maybe, you start to think that you could have made better choices when you were younger. Now, in general, I'm all about leaving the past where it is. There's no point in rehashing stuff. There's no point in beating yourself up about what's been and gone, right? There's no point in focusing any more attention than you should on what you haven't done, or what you should have done, or what you could have done. But if you want to make serious progress in your life, there is going to come a point when you have to see how much of your time that you're dedicating now to the party area of your life, how much you've done in the past, and how that's not working for you anymore, and how you must change that in order to move forward. So from that point of view, if you don't want your own bad history repeating itself, you've really got to start examining your past, thinking about what's going on in your present, and what you might consider doing for you differently in the future, okay? Now, I suppose when you look at things from that perspective, consequences are kind of the real-time way that your life tends to sneak up and give you a sharp kick up the arse sometimes, right? And these big booted kicks are kind of your call to action, to start thinking about things seriously, about things that have happened in your past, things that are happening now. And again, this is not to say that you've got to be judge, jury, and personal executioner. What's the point in that? The only execution that is needed at this stage is for you to use a solid head, executing a solid plan that you've built for yourself. So stop the flow, do the work, move on, right? Start small, start challenging the way that you're thinking about yourself and your life, and slowly you're going to translate that into actions, right? Changes in the way that you're behaving. And just to be clear right here, I'm telling you this from massive experience of slipping over into the dark side and ignoring all the warning signs. You know, I've had many kicks up my arse over the years, right? And each time has been its own little call to action. Some of those calls to actions have been loud screams, and I've ignored them all. It's easy to ignore reality when you've got alcohol on your side, right? You know, why do you need to be realistic? Why do I need to think about things when I've got this magic potion that makes everything better and all my troubles just go away, right? Well, as we know, alcohol does kind of work in the moment, like a hammer works over the head, but everything you're hiding from comes back twice as hard once the drunkenness starts to wear off. And the person, unfortunately, that you become the next day is even less capable of dealing with the mounting pressures and problems and anxieties that are heading your way. I'm very happy that I finally heeded that call, and so will you, right? So if you're looking for some help to stop drinking, we've got a free course in the description down below. Take advantage of it while it's there. Take care, onwards and upwards. Bye now.